Hi and welcome, it's Jim from the maverickstar Observatory. Guys, it's Wednesday the 19th of August 2020 and as I promised I would on the every Wednesday from now on do an Earth's health at a glance check so that we can see the archive of how things are changing. Now, I've done it in a very simple format so that everybody can sort of like quickly at a glance see what's changing with regards to things like CO2. We're going to get that pop up a few times, I bet you. CO2, atmospheric oxygen, the position of the magnetic North Pole with the longitude and latitude, things like radiation background, volcanoes in eruption, things like that. So let's have a little look at this week's changes and just note some of the changes from last week. So starting with atmospheric oxygen, it's slightly less. There was 443 parts per million measured on the equipment that we used compared to this week at 222. The atmospheric oxygen has gone up a little bit, and last month, if we just compare, we can see it's at 20.73%, as opposed to 20.99%, which is standard. Usually we have an atmospheric content of oxygen of around 21%, and it's a massive percentage. It's a big reservoir, and it's no surprising that it doesn't fluctuate too much. But atmospheric CO2, as we can see, does change a little bit, but in general, I don't mind admitting that CO2 is on the increase. That's one thing that science agrees on. CO2 in the atmosphere is on the increase, but whether that is driving the climate or not is a debatable subject. And as well as I do, guys, we had whoever it is, the powers that be, come onto this website under the climate section of this website, change and remove the data. That's really shocking and alarming when organisations that are private, like I'm running this website from Weebly, but when other organisations come in and say that that's got to be removed and they remove it, that's like quite shocking, because we know that CO2 is on the increase but climate is on the decrease. Climate, as far as global warming, is on the decrease, so the temperatures of the earth are slowly dropping. It should come as no surprise when we look at the sunspot numbers being zero, and that is because we're in a grand solar minimum. This really is, I'm starting to find, a good platform for conversation with regards to what's going on in our world. If we just look at the background radiation, slightly down from last reading, we was at 00.16 microsieverts. We're today at 0.110, so just a little fraction of a drop there, and really it's insignificant. There's nothing there to worry about unless you start getting into 50 sieverts. Then there's something really to have cause for alarm. But I did say this as well, guys, that although we study muons, background radiation also incorporates muons as well. But if we're getting cosmic radiation on the increase, then we're going to see a lot more neutrons, and Geiger counters will pick up on those as background radiation as they go through the tube. So okay, moving on. Volcanoes in eruption, 25 this week compared to last week, 24. What else we got? Largest earthquake, as you can see, 6.9 as opposed to 4.9 along India last week. And this is just a general overlook at some of the anomalies that are taking place for you guys to quickly see what's taking place. Now, I just go into USGS for the earthquake information. I click on the largest, and that's how I get that data. And what this is to do is to save you doing the same thing on all the different websites. Like if you want to find out how many sunspots there are, you haven't got to go chasing down Goddard at NASA for that information. You can just quickly come on here and see that there's no sunspots taking place right now. Obviously, as we would expect, the geomagnetic field is quiet, solar X-rays are normal, and the jet streams condition are still unstable. And you know why that is because we have a greater influx right now with regards to the amount of cosmic radiation that is inbound. Now, one thing you'll note is that I've included Australia. That is because now we've got a muon detector in Australia, and you can see the big difference from muons in the UK at 477 compared to last week's 474, so just a very slight increase in muons over the week. But if you look at Perth, Australia, that is well low. That's like 2/3, 1/3, 1/4 lower than what we're getting here in the UK. And it's not a surprise, because what we have coming over Perth, Australia right now is an emerging high intensity magnetic region, equally in strength to that which is increasing or more over Russia right now. And of course, as a result of that, we can see when we look at the intensities over, Hong Kong, Canada, Gold Coast, Perth, Tuscan, Arizona, and we compare the overall magnetosphere strength of 50 microteslas, we can see straight away that one of them is unsettled or unstable, and that's Canada. And the reason for that is because it is continuously weakening, and as a result, Russia is increasing. So it is stealing the magnetic North Pole from Canada, and that's been doing so for the last 100 years, but more so recently, covering more distance in shorter space of time, as you guys know because you follow this. So yeah, that is the overview, and it's there up on the website at poleshiftnews.com if you want to go and have a look at it and just follow the progression of the archive of data that we add every week from now on. I did promise you some plasma in a microwave, in a household microwave. Now, I will do it. I'm going to set it up now and add it to this video, but don't do this at home, because I don't want you blaming me for burning a great big hole in the ceiling of your microwave. Because what you got to remember is we're talking, when we generate plasmas, heat temperatures in the thousands of degrees Celsius. Now, I use a bronchial laboratory glass to stop the plasma hitting the top of the microwave, and I already know that the method I'm using, just using a couple of matches, obviously we are generating sodium gas and then converting the sodium gas into a plasma, a very hot plasma, which would burn through the bronchial glass if I continually run it and supplied it with the sulfur gas, the sodium gas. But I keep it short and simple at this point in time. What my objective is here is to at some point create a laboratory diamond, and over the next coming weeks you guys are going to see me break down a microwave, pull it to bits. I've done this before. If you've followed me probably on the earlier channel, we built a microwave gun and tested it over I think it was about 10-meter distance, and we managed to cook something at that range, concentrating the microwave beams. And also I just want to mention this, you do hear that as part of the secret military hardware there are microwave guns, and the purpose of these would be to probably cause cancers in people, because that's exactly what a microwave would do as it got to the level of jostling within the cell the deoxynucleonucleic acid and break it apart, and then from that point on you would cause cancer. So I don't want to promote that. I know that these things can be used for that. I have built these things before and demonstrated them to you. We had a little bit of an accident, if you remember. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but you've got to be really, really careful when you're dealing with these things, because although they are household items, if used in the incorrect manner, they can become dangerous. And what the purpose of this experiment that we're going to do is that we just want to generate the plasma using microwaves, as opposed to buying the equipment, which would really, as always is the case here, put us out the arena. So as always, guys, we have to just make do with what we've got, because I don't have the funding to buy 100,000 or £250,000 piece of equipment, which basically I believe, and I'm going to see if that is the case, can be produced in the home for, very little money. And it will be amazing if I'm able to achieve something out of this. And I'll tell you what that is. I want to grow a laboratory diamond. Now, I know that there are some professors and doctors in universities in the United States which are working on this technology and they're using microwaves, by the way, to excite the gas. What the gas is that we're going to use for creating and growing the diamond is methane gas. What happens is, if you create a methane plasma using the gas methane, you excite that gas just in a similar manner which I'm going to show you now with the sodium gas that's coming off the matches. What we're going to do is rain down over seeded diamonds. So we're going to get probably at some point a CNC laser cutter that is capable of cutting through diamonds. We're going to slice them up really, really thin, and then we're going to put them in the plasma which we've generated through microwave and methane gas. And what should rain down over those diamonds is the material which the crystal lattice structure of the diamond will need to grow. So this is what I was telling you guys. It's an interesting project. I know it's a little bit off the cusp of what we do, but we always cover, first of all and fundamentally foremost, the Earth's anomalies, especially with the Trimag and the magnetosphere and our global stations that we've got out there now. But as you know, I am very enthusiastic about science, and I sometimes ask myself the question, Gene, do you think you could do it? And there's a problem when I ask that question to myself. I just almost dare myself to have a go, and that is one of these scenarios right now, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. So the laboratory diamonds, in a nutshell, are indistinguishable. It's going to really create problems for companies like De Beers in London, and I believe it already has, because you cannot distinguish a laboratory grown diamond from a real diamond. There is no test or expert that can say this is a laboratory diamond or this is a naturally grown diamond. The only difference is that it takes, in laboratory conditions, 2 weeks to grow a 3-carat diamond, as opposed to the Earth's natural processes taking 1 million years to produce an imperfect diamond. One of the things that I've come across with all this is that we are at a technological advancement now, able to create better diamonds than the natural processes of the Earth over 1 million years. And according to some of the research that I've done on this, is that we're now creating diamonds that are harder than natural diamonds. And industrially, that has a massive benefit. We can create diamonds that are harder than diamonds and material that is harder than diamonds. Industrially, that is going to help us in some of our industrial activities in the future. I mean, let's face it, if we could have a knife edge that had been treated with diamonds all along its cutting edge, it's very unlikely it's ever going to go dull, isn't it? The blade, it's going to remain sharp. But can you imagine drill bits and well drilling bits and things like that have this new material which is stronger than diamonds coating it? It's also very important in optics, as well as a load of other applications. They're also, as far as some of the brief research I've done, starting to use diamonds now in building some of these new computers. So it'll be interesting, in the future, to see what comes of this industry, which is growing. We're going to touch on this over the coming weeks. We're going to pull the microwave apart. We're going to build the housing so that we can inject the microwaves into the gas over some seed diamonds eventually, and see how we go. But there's going to be a lot of work in the process. We've got to try and contain the plasma from touching any sides of the vessel that we're going to use. That is simply because it's going to pop an hole very quickly after prolonged use. And if we're planning on using plasma over a couple of period of 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, whilst we seed some diamonds, then it's going to be, needed to be contained. And to do that, we're going to have to use some electromagnets. So yeah, okay, let's show you then, just very simply, that it is possible to create plasma gas, even though we're using sodium gas to excite it into a plasma. The effects will be the same when we incorporate methane gas. We're going to have to change the waveguide on the microwave, obviously, when we build our equipment, because we're going to be focusing the microwaves in a different fashion as opposed to a standard household microwave. But none of this is impossible to do, and we'll demonstrate that over the coming weeks. So we've got some interesting projects alongside what we're already doing in any case with regards to the field of geomagnetics and other earthly anomalies that are taking place. So stay tuned, guys. And the only other thing to say is big thank you to our patrons, big thank you to our superstars that have got the equipment out there around the world for us, that are feeding it back to us, to the observatory where we process it and put it on the website for you guys. And a big thanks to all those that have made a one-off contribution over the last few days. It's good to see that it is slowly beginning to pick back up again after a little quiet period. So it's promising again, guys. So big thanks to all of you anyhow for your help here. I dedicate a lot of time to informing people. One thing I don't have is cash, and that is why this is a public observatory. So there's a link down there if you want to support it on there. Okay, let's go and do a little bit of microwave plasma porn and show you some plasma reactions in the microwave. In the attempt to create a bit of plasma in a microwave, ordinary household microwave, what we've got is a couple of matches which are going to be the source of the sodium gas for us once they've been ignited. They're sitting on a little bit of bronchial glass that you can see there, and to prevent the hot plasma gas burning through the top of the microwave, we're going to put a bronchial glass or a bit of laboratory glassware over the experiment, just to stop it burning, like I say, a hole through the microwave. So let's light it up. Let's see if we can demonstrate a little bit of plasma. Seeing is the plasma gas form in the vessel. The reason why it's not hitting the top is because we have contained it within the bronchial beaker, and I really daren't run it any longer than what I did, but it clearly is a demonstration that you can generate plasma gas in a household microwave. So what my target is now to do is to purchase a microwave, strip it down, take the magnetron out of it, all the running gear for it, modify the waveguide that you can see here on the side, which directs the microwaves, and build a utensil which we can incorporate methane gas into it, and then at the same time put some seed diamonds in there, and hopefully grow diamonds in that high temperature pressure environment. So hope you enjoyed it, guys. Just a disclaimer, be careful doing this at home. I don't want to take any responsibility for people having any accidents or destroying any of their kitchenware. It was just merely to demonstrate you can convert gases into plasma using household utensils, and that's basically what we did here.